Hi Beth, thank you for joining us on the Dementia Dialogues today. How are you?
I'm not too bad, thanks, Natalie. How are you
I'm
doing?
good, thank you. The sun is shining, so that puts a smile on my face and joy in my heart.
100%, same here.
Better than the wind and the rain that we used to, us northerners.
Exactly, exactly. Don't know what to do in this sun, out, do we? Get the
No, we
bikini
don't.
on.
So, for the benefit of the listeners, could you introduce yourself, please? Just a little bit of background, where you are from, and your touch point with dementia.
Of course. So I'm Beth Jones. I live in Chorley in Lancashire with my lovely husband and two cats. My touch point with dementia is my mum has early onset frontotemporal dementia. She was diagnosed last year, February 2024.
And how old's mum?
She is 66 now. She was 65 when she was diagnosed.
Let's give her a name. Let's not just call her mum. What's mum's
So,
name?
so she is Jillian, but
Jill.
always goes by Jill.
Yeah. And what's she like? Tell me a bit about Jill.
Bonkers. Literally, like there's literally no other word encapsulates everything. She's bonkers. She's such a warm, loving, lovely lady, but nuts.
Yeah.
Like she just loved to make people smile. Like that was kind of her aim, to make people laugh and to giggle. Um, she was so kind and caring. Such a wonderful, wonderful mum. Like you couldn't have wished for a better mum. And I'm an only child as well.
Okay.
So she literally doted on me. Probably a bit too much, to be honest, because when I went out into the real world as an adult, I didn't have a clue what to do. It's like, how do you use a washing machine? How do I make the bed? Um, but she's such a lovely, lovely lady.
So best friends as well then, you and your mum, would you say?
Well, 50-50. So 50% of the time we were literally best friends, couldn't keep us apart. But then the other 50% of the time, like we could butt heads like no other.
Yeah.
Like I think there were some parts of us that were so incredibly similar, but then other parts that were so different. I think, at times we could rub each other up the wrong way, like most mothers and daughters, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm an only child as well, and I think my mum will probably be listening, going, "Yes, that's me and you as well. We do exactly the same thing, or did not anymore as we've got older, but definitely teenage years.
Hmm.
Oh, I knew how to push her buttons, and she knew how to push mine. So let's talk about FTD then. Can you explain what FTD is?
So it stands for frontal temporal dementia,
Mhm.
and it is degeneration of the brain in the frontal and temporal lobes. So that's the part of the brain that kind of controls your personality, your apathy. So in FTD, usually the first signs and symptoms are personality changes. And that was definitely what we saw in my mum to begin with. Like I said, she was just bonkers, lovely, funny, chatty lady, and that seemed to disappear slowly. She got a lot more quiet. Her personality began to change. She'd always been, like I said, such a warm, lovely person, and she started to say things that were quite cutting. And I think that's not mum.
Yeah,
That's
that's out of character sort of thing.
100%.
Yeah.
But in the early days, I just put it down to, well, she's hit her 60s now. Maybe she's just turned into a bit of a grumpy older woman. Just,
Are you listening, mum?
oh, she string me up.
So when did you start noticing? I know you said she was diagnosed in 2024.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
when did you start noticing those changes?
So
Before that, then?
it was 2021 when I first started noticing changes in her. Um, Obviously, we were still living through the pandemic at that point.
Yeah.
But when I'd go around to a house in the past, I'd barely be through the front door, and she'd just be chatting away to me, like, "Hiya, Beth, what have you been up to? What have you been doing? I've been doing X, I've been doing Y, I've been doing Z. Well, I saw such a person the other day." I'd be like, "Good God, Mum, let me sit down." But it got to the point where I was walking in, I'd sit down, we'd do the niceties, give her a hug, "How have you been? What have you been up to?" And then that was it. There was nothing. There was no conversation.
Mhm.
It was me trying to like pull stuff out of her, which it was usually the opposite way around. Like I was usually the one sat there and she was the one talking to me and trying to get conversation out of me, but the roles switched. So that was the first sign, but dementia never crossed my mind.
What did you
Like
think it was then at that point?
So I thought it was something to do with the mental health. Like, I was thinking maybe she's a little depressed and maybe she's a little anxious, because obviously we're still during COVID times. We've been through how many lockdowns by that point? 3 lockdowns. You're not seeing people as much. She's stuck in this house with my dad. I love my dad to pieces, but whether I want to be stuck in a house in 24/7.
Was she a social butterfly then, naturally?
100%.
Right,
She
okay.
loved being with people and around people.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I first thought. I thought, she's struggling with this. She's struggling being at home 24/7 with my dad and a cat.
Which is understandable, because a lot of people were, really, weren't they?
100%. Like, I was in therapy during lockdown, because I was really struggling. Because again, like my mum, I'm a bit of a social butterfly. I like being out and speaking to people. And when it was just me, my husband, and these 4 walls, it did get to me. I did struggle. So it wasn't a stretch to think that my mum was feeling the same.
So when did you decide to take that next step, sort of thing? When did you think, actually, no, it's more than a mental health thing, this? What was sort of the change there?
I'd probably say when we hit the back end of 2022, going into 2023, because other people started to notice changes in her.
Okay.
And other people brought it up to my dad, and they brought it up to me. And it was, again, I know when people think of dementia, they always think of memory loss, but it wasn't memory loss at this point. It was, I remember we went out for my birthday, so this was August 2020. Was this 22 or 23? Sorry, Natalie, all the years blend into one.
I know.
But I remember going out for a meal, and there was me, my mum and dad, Dom, the husband, and my grandma and granddad. And I remember we got our starters, and my mum was sat next to me, and she ate every last morsel of food. Like, literally, she couldn't have. Everything, that plate was clean. They could have put it back on the rack. It didn't need washing. It was that clean. And I said, "Oh, Mum, did you enjoy that?" And she just looked at me and went, "No." And I was like, "You've nearly licked the pattern off the plate, but you're telling me that you didn't enjoy the food." I was like, "That's a bit odd." And then we went back to my house after the meal for cut the cake and have a drink. And this was the first time that she did this. I think it must have got to about 10 o'clock, and she suddenly decided, "I want to go home." And we'd all just been sat there having a laugh, having a chat, and it was like a light switch had just been flicked, and she was like, "I want to go home." And I was like, "Okay, that's bizarre." And she was like, "Paul," this is my dad, Paul, "Paul, I want to go home."
Again, an unusual reaction for Mum. Would she be sort of like, being a social butterfly, I assume she's lingers and likes to stay, life and soul of the party. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's it. And her and my dad together, especially, my dad's always like, "One more drink for the road," and 10 drinks later. So yeah, that was really bizarre. And then I remember bringing it up to my dad, and my dad was like, "Yeah, that is odd, isn't it?" But I think he took much longer than me to kind of think that it was something more sinister than just again a little bit older than it just. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So how did you find the process of, from that point then, from there to getting the diagnosis? Easy, straightforward, loads of support?
No, it's painful, Natalie.
I am saying it with a little smirk across my face, because there's a reoccurring theme throughout all the episodes. Take it away, Beth.
Painful, absolutely painful. So it was, at this point, it was January 2023. And I had got to the point where I was like, something is seriously wrong and we need to do something about it. But my dad, bless his heart, when it comes to anything medical, terrified. I think in the 30 odd years I've known him, he's been to the doctors twice. And then my mum was in complete denial about it. She didn't believe there was anything wrong with her. Whenever we tried to bring it up with her, "No, I'm fine. I'm absolutely fine." But in January 2023, I knew that I had to do something. Like, I couldn't wait around any longer. So I actually emailed her doctor, I sent an email to her doctor and kind of explained my worries about her, explained the different symptoms, so like the examples that we just talked about. And to be fair, her doctor was very good. Her doctor got back to me straight away and said, I've made arrangements to see your mum in light of your concerns. So my mum went down to see her. It was kind of under a bit of a pretense of, well, my mum had been suffering with some shoulder issues. It was kind of under pretense, we'll come down and we'll talk about your shoulder. So my mum went down to the doctors, and they ended up asking her like some questions, and but again, me and my dad weren't there, so we don't exactly know what questions she was being asked.
Yeah.
And when, again, by this point, when my mum came back and we asked my mum what had been asked, she couldn't really tell us. And then the doctor also sent her for some blood tests. So when she had these blood tests, it came back that her B12 levels were low. Apparently, low B12 levels can mimic some dementia signs and symptoms.
Okay.
So, like, impaired cognition and things like that.
Yeah.
So she got put on a heavy dose, for a 3-month course of B12 vitamins, and she took them 3 months, no improvement. If anything, she got slightly worse. So now we're in May. In May. So I reached back out to her doctor again. And the doctor said, right, come down and see us. All 3 of you come down. So all 3 of us went to the doctor.
What did your mum think about all 3 of you going? Did she know why all 3 of you were going to the doctors at that point? Can you remember?
So this is the thing as well, Natalie. Like, me and my dad kind of describe my mum's dementia as she didn't have it, and then she really had it.
Yeah.
It was almost like night and day.
Okay.
Because when I've been reading about other people's experiences, it feels like, at the beginning, the person living with the dementia has, they know that they have it, and it's a gradual. It's gradual in terms of the steps that they go through.
Yeah.
But I feel like my mum went from not having it to really having it.
Yeah.
And she didn't, and if she did wonder why all 3 of us were going down, she didn't say anything.
Okay.
It's very strange. It was literally like night and day with my mum. It was like she's got full cognition. She knows what's going on. She kind of doesn't.
So when you talk about that, not having it to really having it, that's not sort of over a time period of a year. That can be, like you say, from night to day. From during the day, she could have full cognitive function as such, and you wouldn't think anything of it. And then 12 hours later, completely different. Is that what you mean? Yeah.
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 It was bizarre.
Yeah.
So then we went down to the doctors, and we got into the room with the doctor, and she asked me and my dad, like, what's been going on with Jill, and we'd explained everything that we'd seen, and my dad would say Jill was making tea and she forgot to strain the veg, or she forgot to strain the potatoes. We ended up with potatoes with loads of water on our plate, and things like that I not even heard before. It was only like once we got in the room with the doctor, and then I relayed to the doctor like what I'd seen in mum. And then I remember looking to my mum and going, oh, so, what's been going on, Jill? Is everything all right? She went, I'm fine. I'm absolutely fine. I just wanted to shake her because I was just, Mum, you're not fine. You're not. So the doctor performed a memory test with her, and she just about failed it.
Okay.
Which again is crazy to me because we, in our doctors, they have like a sign-in screen when you go in, and you put in like male, female, your date of birth. And my mum put in the day, she put in the month, but she couldn't remember the year she was born. And I remember she just kept looking at me and my dad like, help me. So in the end we had to say, 1958. And it's crazy that it's like my mum couldn't remember the year she was born, but she's only just failed the test to be referred to the memory clinic.
Yeah. Can you remember what those questions were in the test? What type of questions they were? Just for people that might be listening, that's all.
So there were things like, I'm going to give you a name and remember this name. So John Smith. John Smith lives at number 10 Lancaster Place. And then she'd go on to ask more questions like, who was on the throne when it was World War II?
Mm-hmm.
What year are we in? What year was it 5 years ago? You know, questions like that. And
Yeah,
then she'd come back and go, I gave you a name earlier. Can you remember that name? Can you remember where they lived? So it's questions like that.
Okay.
And my mum did all right on some bits. On some bits she did well, and then it is kind of scary that she only just failed the test, because if we'd gone on a day when she'd been a little bit more lucid, would she have passed? And would we have had to wait even longer before getting to a memory clinic?
Do you think that needs to, the way that's, I don't know the answer, I'm just asking your opinion. Do you think that the way that's done needs to change? Like the type of questions, or does it need to be done sort of periodically over the course of a month to see if there's a pattern? I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely. I think adapting the test, so you have to do it over a number of, like you say, you have to come in every 3 weeks and do the same test and see if there's any deterioration. Or, you know, one day, like I said, she might have been lucid and be able to answer it better, versus 2 weeks after, when she's having a bad day, she couldn't. But I also think don't just go off tests, go off the people who know this individual the best. Like in that room, you have a daughter who, this is my mum, the person I've known the longest on the planet. This is her husband. They've been together decades. Listen to the family members around this person. And even though the individual might be telling you they're fine, I feel like as soon as the dementia could be a possibility, you need to start looking at the people around them as well and getting their thoughts and opinions on it.
Absolutely. Totally agree with you. And maybe it's the fact that if you sort of have the knowledge that of what type of questions the doctor would ask as a memory test, family members are doing that at home, so that you can keep a record. Oh, actually, like you said, she's not having a great day today. Okay, let's try that type of questioning that the doctor would do.
Yeah.
Let's record it. And then when you do go back in, you can go, look, I tried it on a bad day because this could be a good day. This is what she answered, you know.
Yeah.
And they've got to take that from you. I appreciate you don't want any manipulation there as such, but why would you do that?
Yeah.
And maybe there's that, they've also got to take into that consideration, the GP, the denial from the person that they're asking, like asking your mum, is she actually scared of getting that diagnosis? So I'm just going to say that I'm fine, and he's got to take my word for it, and I'm not going to say that there's anything wrong, you know, because I would feel like that.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
So you can appreciate that, can't you?
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Like, and was it TikTok? It was somebody the other day, and I don't know if you know the word for it, Natalie, but there's a certain word that people with some types of dementia have, and they literally do not realise they have dementia because it's a particular part of the brain that's damaged, and they are oblivious to it. I don't think that was the case with my mum in the earlier days, just from certain things that she'd say to me. So I remember when we were actually in the doctors in the waiting room before we went in, and her mum, my maternal grandmother, she had dementia, and she passed at 65 from dementia. And my mum had been her carer up until a point where she got too much for her.
Yeah.
And I remember my mum was just pacing up and down in the doctors, and I said to her, Mum, what's wrong? And she just looked at me and she went, I don't want to be put away. Now, I think that's in reference to her own mum. Like, I am putting words in her mouth, but I do think that's what it's in reference to. So when she'd say certain things like that, like, I thought, you do know that there's something going on.
Yeah. You can understand that, can't you?
100%.
You can put that. It's like we say when people, in some care homes can say, oh, they've got challenging behaviour. It's like, no, there's just something underlying. There's an unmet need, or they're trying to communicate something. So mum pacing in the doctors, she's thinking about it. She's been in that situation herself. She doesn't want the same for her, does she?
Yeah.
Or, you know,
That's
so
it.
again,
Same
understandable. So where did you go from there then, from that memory test? What happened then?
So then we were referred to the memory assessment service, and they said that they'd be in touch with a date for an initial consultation. So that was in the May. And then by early August, we'd still not heard anything from the memory assessment service. So I said to my dad, because again, at this point, I'm having to speak to my dad because I can't speak to my mum because I don't feel like she wouldn't do anything that I tell her to do. Like she by this point, she was kind of just, I don't want to say not with it, but it was like she was really unresponsive to anything we were talking about in terms of like her health.
Okay.
So I spoke to my dad and I said, it might be worth reaching back out to the doctors because they might know what's going on with the memory assessment service. So my dad went down and they said, because you're not the patient, we can't speak to you. So then at that point, we kind of created our own consent form. So it was a consent form that me, my dad, my mum all signed to basically say that the doctors, the receptionist can speak to me and my dad about anything to do with my mum in terms of like her medical history, updates, etc. So my dad went down with my mum and handed this consent form in that we created. And he said, now that we've handed this in, I've got Jill here with me, can you give me an update on where we are with the memory assessment service? So the receptionist went onto the computer, had a look and said, oh, she's been discharged from the memory assessment service back into the care of the doctors. And my dad was like, why? And the receptionist said, I don't know, I can't tell you. So I remember my dad phoning me up and telling me this, and I was like, right, we need to phone that memory assessment service and find out what's going on. So I get the number for the memory assessment service. I'm phoning, I'm telling my dad, you phone as well. Thankfully, my dad got hold of him, because if I had, I might have said things were great. So my dad kind of explained the situation, was like, you know, my wife has been discharged from the memory assessment service and we don't know why, because she needs to come in, she needs to come and see somebody there. And the receptionist at the memory assessment service looked and she said, oh, yeah, I can see that she has been discharged back into the care of the doctors. And we have tried to get hold of her several times. We've tried ringing and we've sent letters, but we've had no response. And my dad said, we've not had anything. And then as he's on the phone to the memory assessment service, he looks in my mum's drawers, bedside drawers, and stuffed right at the back is a letter from the memory assessment service offering her an appointment. And my dad said, Jill, like, why are these shoved in the back of your drawer? Are you scared? And my mum went, yeah, I'm scared. So
it's difficult, that, isn't it? I'm trying to sort of play devil's advocate. You've got to give them the autonomy to act on their own behalf. So she should be getting her own medical letters. Yet in a state of fear or not knowing, it might not have been fear. It could. I'm not in your mum's situation, but if somebody gets a letter, it might be, I don't know what that is, I'm going to put it away. So it's sort of, at what point can we step in, like you did with your dad and you did the consent form to access mum's medical records? At what point should that be across the board? Should it be a joint letter, like you get a joint bank statement at that point? It's sort of, do we need to try and put that in place so that happens at diagnosis before you refer to the memory clinic? Can we make sure that the letters come to both of us? You know, because it's sort of, it's a grey area really, but something obviously needs to change there as well, doesn't it?
100%. You're absolutely right. It is a completely grey area because, like you said, if you are the patient, you are the individual, you, like you said, you want to have autonomy over that. You know, you don't want to think of anybody else like particularly acting on your behalf, especially if you think it's a negative which of course it's not. Me and my dad love mum to pieces, but you know, as a human, you always want that autonomy over yourself. And but at the same time, if that individual does have something such as dementia, then it is really difficult because, like you said, the person may receive this letter and not want to acknowledge it because they're scared, or they're just not able to acknowledge it.
Yeah.
So what do we do? Is it kind of like, once you get to a point where it could potentially be dementia, do you then put something in place where, like you said, the letter's addressed to like you and your partner, or maybe your children get the letter as well? I don't know. It's a
I know
difficult
that
one.
Dementia UK do a form called, I'm going to get it wrong now, Advanced. Anyway, they do a form. I will find out what it is. But basically, I'm going to do this with my mum. I've got my mum coming on in a few weeks, and we're going to talk about her care for the future. She doesn't have dementia. She's no signs of it, but it's about putting things, what's come out of a lot of conversations that I'm having on the podcast is doing things early. As much as it's a scary conversation to have, it makes it easier for everybody in the long run.
100%.
But one of these forms, and it's legally binding, there is one that's legally binding and one that isn't. The legally binding one is about future medical care. So I like resuscitation, do not resuscitate, things like that. But equally then, maybe something within that needs to be dementia related, or I don't know how it would be worded, but about something like this, about the medical letters. And then there's another one which isn't legally binding, and that one can stay with your medical records with the GP. It's passed over. So that then goes across the board. And I think that's a really good idea.
100%.
And then there's another one that isn't legally binding, but that's about care planning and what do you want that to look like. So we're going to go through both of those. But that's through Dementia UK. So I think more people need to know about that, because potentially could you, if it isn't already, could you put something in there that states that any medical letters is directed to your other person, you know, a safeguarding person, guardian, partner, spouse, whatever that looks like. But there's definitely something needed there.
Yeah,
Definitely.
100%. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And like you said, I think these conversations, the one that you're having with your mum, they're so important because now me and my dad are just guessing when it comes to my mum's care.
Yeah.
You know, once we got the dementia diagnosis, she was too far gone to kind of give her input and go, this is what I want my care to look like. When I get to this point, I want you to stop this part. I don't want you doing X or Y or Z for me. I want to be, you know, doing this, or I want to be at home for as long as possible. If I, you know, we just don't know. Now we're just completely guessing.
Yeah. Do you think that might change how you and your dad converse about dad then? I mean, maybe not now because you're both caring for mum, but it's conversation to be had with your dad, isn't it?
1000%. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think pre all of this with my mum, my dad, I don't think my dad would have been open to that conversation at all, because he's a bloke, he's in his 60s, he's very stereotypical, just get your head down and get on with it.
Yeah.
Whereas now I think all of this with my mum, I think he would be open to sitting down and having those conversations and knowing that we have to have.
So dad's caregiver for mum. Jill's still living at home. Yeah.
Yep, she's still at home. She's at home. My dad is now her 24/7 carer.
Okay. Do they get any support at all? Any outside help?
No.
No. Does dad still like going out? Has he got his own sort of social life to give himself a bit of respite?
Thankfully he does. He does try to get out with his friends at the weekend for a couple of hours.
Yeah.
Even if that's just going, watching the first half of a football match, nipping home to check on mum, and then going back for the second half.
And mum's happy being on her own for a couple of hours as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good.
Like, we're at that point now where it sounds awful, but we could stick mum in front of a wall and she'd just stare at it for 10 hours. Okay. She wouldn't move. And again, this is going to sound awful, but I know sometimes with dementia patients, you worry about them wandering off and getting lost. And my mum has never been the most active person on the planet. So
She's not a sporty lady then.
she's not a sporty lady, and I'm sure she won't mind me admitting that. So we kind of don't worry about her leaving the house and wandering for miles, because she wouldn't have done that pre-dementia either. So
yeah. I'm going to ask you now an open question, and I'm going to ask you to try and, because I bet there's a lot, but just to try and narrow it down. But what are your frustrations with the disease? Take a deep breath.
Right, trying to narrow it down.
It's difficult, I know.
It is. I'm just going to refer to my notes.
It's okay.
I do have them in front of me. Probably the most frustrating thing with the actual disease is it doesn't make any sense whatsoever to me.
Okay.
And something, for example, like last Easter, a really good example, and I talked about it on the podcast, but we had my mum and dad, my grandma and granddad, my parents-in-law, we had them round last Easter. We were just having a big buffet and a get-together and a few drinkies. And I went and picked up my mum and dad, and I got an SUV. So I went round, got my mum in the car, came to my house, got on the drive, and mum just wouldn't get out the car. It was like her legs just wouldn't move. Like,
Okay.
come on, mum. And my dad's going, come on, Jill, you can do it. And she looked petrified, absolutely terrified, like she was about to skydive. And it took us probably 10 to 15 minutes trying to coax her out of the car. And all day, my dad was petrified, because he was like, we're meant to be getting a taxi home. How am I going to get her in a taxi? So then all evening we're like, right, let's get in touch with the taxi company, see if they can send like a bigger, like an adaptable car. Anyway, we couldn't. We just had to get a normal car. Anyway, taxi pulls up. My dad gets a text, taxi's here. So I'm saying bye to my dad and my grandma and granddad, but my mum is nowhere to be seen. So we look out the front door, and she sat in the passenger seat of the taxi. Like, okay, so she managed to get in the car by herself, because we're at that point now, she's had enough, she wants to go home, she's getting in that car.
Yeah.
And then I spoke to my dad later on, and he was like, Beth, she was like a woman possessed. We pulled up to the front door, she shot out the car and was straight in the house. He's like, how it took her 10 to 15 minutes to get out of your big SUV.
Yeah.
But it took her a matter of seconds. He said, I'd not even paid the taxi driver, and she was already in the house.
Yeah. Is that spatial awareness getting out of the SUV, the higher exit, I suppose, possibly, and the drop then to the floor, looking further away than it is. You just don't know, do you?
This is it, you don't know. And some days she'll have a brilliant day. She'll get up. She'll want to eat, she'll want to wash, she'll want to shower, she'll want to brush her teeth. And then the very next day, she doesn't want to do any of it. And it's like trying to like bribe her to do anything and like, come on, you can do it. It's like, what's happened in that 24 hours? What's happened? What's that switch?
Yeah.
And like in the early days, I'd used to try and figure it out. It's like, I am going to suss this out. It's like you were to learn. No, you're not.
Yeah. I'm going to be a detective. I'm going to solve the problem. That'd be good, wouldn't it?
I'd be brilliant. But I quickly learned, like, no, you're not that clever. Sit down.
There's loads of scientists trying to do it as well, and it's not working.
Exactly.
If you could change anything in regards to care for those living with dementia, what would that look like?
So I would absolutely love it, again, in our current NHS. I don't think this could happen, but in an ideal world, as soon as you get that dementia diagnosis, being assigned somebody who is trained in dementia care, a specific dementia carer, being assigned to you, and then coming and even speaking to you, just saying, right, this is what is going to happen. This is what the disease progress might look like. I would suggest putting these in place, sorting out your legal power of attorney, looking at carers allowance, seeing if you can get your council tax reduced. All of these things we had to go away and learn ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Like when we got the diagnosis, it was like, right, she's got dementia, nothing we can do about it, there's the door. That was literally it. It's like, right, go and figure it out for yourself.
Yeah. A friend of mine actually got in touch this week. His dad's literally just been diagnosed with dementia. So he's like rabbit in a headlights. I don't, like, can you help me? Because what do I do first? It's like, okay, let's not overwhelm. We'll just do we'll give you three things to do. And I said, did they give you any support at point of diagnosis? He went, I think they gave me a leaflet. And I said, okay. And he said, and I think they said someone's going to ring me. I went, okay. So it's difficult because the diagnosis is hitting you as well. It's a shock to you as well. But equally, there isn't that explanation, like you've just said, that allocation of somebody to sit down with you and go through, right, it could look like this, it might look like this, put this in place, just giving you those small steps to take away, or say, if you need anything or when you are ready, here's a number, contact me.
Yeah.
Yeah, because everybody's going to be different, aren't they?
1000%, yeah. Definitely.
Somebody would be able to take that information in and might go, right, just give it me all now. Like, what do I need to do? Where other people might just, like my friend, rabbit in a headlights, don't know what to do. And they just need that time to process it first and then know that they've got someone at the other end of the phone to go, right, I'm ready now. What do I need to do?
Yeah.
Yeah,
100%.
I'm totally with you. If the world was a better place and there would be a lot of funding needed for that, I'm sure. And I think once you do start go digging yourself for the help and support, it is out there, but it's very spread out. So you're pulling it here, there, and everywhere. So you don't really know if you're coming or going, I don't think, do you, in some cases? And it's about finding that one place, because there are a couple out there. There's the Dementia Care Hub, and they will talk you through it step by step. But it needs to be talked about more. It needs to be advertised more that these places and facilities are there to support caregivers and people living with dementia.
100%. Like 100%. I spoke to an Admiral nurse.
Yeah.
And she was brilliant. It's a shame because there's none actually in our area to physically come out and see my mum, which is a shame. But in the conversation I had with her, like she taught me through things that were available and that we should do, and like ideas that we can do with mum. And even if we got told that, like a list of charities that could help, but I even had to go online and find that myself. Which I look back now in hindsight and I just think it's absolutely bonkers.
Yeah. And if you think, I think in one of my very first episodes, another caregiver had said, we're not tarring Macmillan at all, but we're just saying what a wonderful service Macmillan offer, because as soon as someone's diagnosed with cancer, Macmillan nurses are in touch. And considering that dementia is now the leading disease in the UK, why are we not doing the same or working towards doing the same? To consider it's not even in the NHS 2025 plan is really worrying.
Yeah, it really is. It's terrifying. And I just don't know why it is such a secondary thought to other diseases.
Yeah.
And it's like, is it because of a stigma that goes back a long time? Is it like, for me, even the word dementia, demented, it's such a negative word, in my opinion, because once upon a time, they probably would have gone, oh, that local nutcase down the road.
Yeah.
Not realising, no, this is a disease.
Yeah.
It's not a normal part of getting older.
No.
It's not just the crazy cat lady down the road. She has an actual disease. Yeah. And I think, is it that? Is there still like a little bit of stigma around it?
Quite possibly. And I think we need to try and change that, and we need to try and change that from the ground level. Like we've not you mentioned it briefly, but you've got your own podcast as well, and we'll touch on that at the end. But for doing it from the ground level in the podcast and getting rid of the stigma. People that work with dementia, anybody with a touch point with dementia will understand that. And if we can start doing it, hopefully then we'll have a ripple effect and that'll feed through. Well, that's the aim. That's the plan. Anyway.
Yeah, 100%.
What is your favourite thing to do with your mum?
So my favourite thing pre-dementia was
Mhm.
going for something to eat. Like me and my mum, massive foodies. Like we just eat all day. It's my favourite thing.
I love
Just
that.
eating. So going out, having a really nice meal,
Yeah.
was really nice. Like I remember taking her out for Mother's Day a few years ago and just going, having a glass of wine, having something to eat, just kind of catching up, trying not to kill each other. Like,
That's supposed to get better as you get older, you know.
yeah, I know, it never
Less
really
so.
did.
And what about now? What's your favourite moments now?
So now, like painting her nails, I love
Oh, I
going
love that.
painting her nails. Like tomorrow, I'm going round, washing and blow drying her hair, because it's in those moments where I find that I get her back for a
Yeah.
split second. Like I remember last time I went round to wash her hair, and I remember drying just with a towel, and I looked her in the eyes and I went, "Oh, it's not fun getting old, Mum, is it?" And she looked at me, and like her eyes connected with mine, which doesn't happen often. She went, "Oh, I know, it's really not." And it's like those split seconds, those moments, I just get her back, and
Hmm.
that's that. When I'm doing little things like that, that's when I tend to get her back for
Hmm.
those split seconds. Like, and I can tell she loves me doing her hair, because that muscle memory of just leaning back and putting her back, and seeing a little face, a little smile, and
And
um,
keep doing that as long as you can, don't you?
yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, what's your favourite memory together?
Um, so I wrote this down, but because I think people are like, oh, you expect somebody to say like, oh, when me and my mum went to wedding dress shopping, or
Okay.
what, the morning of my wedding was. No, my favourite moment ever with my mum was when we were in Ibiza for a hen don't. It wasn't a hen do, it was a hen don't.
Okay.
So my
Like that. I
friend,
like that idea.
yeah, so my friend who was meant to be getting married ended up calling off the wedding.
Okay.
We're like, but we're still going on the hen do, but no, it was a hen don't. And I'll never forget, we were in this bar in Ibiza, and there was a stag do in there, and my mum made them all line up in front of the pool table. She climbs on the pool table. Bearing in mind, she's not a slight woman, my mum. Um, she like runs, dives off the pool table and makes this stag do catch her. And I remember everyone was cheering and whooping in this bar, and I just was like, grain swallow me. But at the same time, it was absolutely hilarious. I mean, her back was never the same afterwards, but it was just hilarious.
I love that. I love that. I've got a vision of Jill diving over the pool table into a group of men's arms. I don't think I'd do that. But like you said, she was a social butterfly.
She was. She
And that
was.
prime example of it right there. Yeah. That must have been good though, going to Ibiza with her. What a memory.
I know,
I bet.
100%. Yeah.
So just to finish then, if you could offer one piece of advice or support to anybody listening, what would that be?
So my one piece of advice, especially this, like goes out specifically to people who are a carer to someone with dementia, or the like me, for example, they have a loved one who's living with dementia, is to look after yourself as well. Like, it's not just the person who has the disease who's living with it. It is literally everyone around them. And it is so true. Like, you are allowed to be sad, you're allowed to be angry, you're allowed to cry, you're allowed to feel all of your feelings. Like, when we first got the diagnosis, I was like, I need to be strong. I need to be strong for my mom and for my dad, and push my feelings aside. And it's like, no, you're living with it as well. So feel your feelings, cry, scream, hit a pillow, do what you need to do. Because the old cliche, you can't pour from an empty cup, but
Oh, it's my favourite phrase, that. I
it's
love
so
it.
true.
It
It
is
is
true.
so true. So please look after yourself. If you're in that position, look after yourself, not just the person living with dementia, because everyone's living with it. If you have a loved one, you're living with it as well.
Absolutely, totally agree. And as we said, you have your own podcast, which is amazing. You've just completed series 1, which has been a really good listen. I'm looking forward to series 2 in a strange kind of way. I know that sounds a bit strange because it's about dementia and it's about your mum having dementia, but it's been done really, really well. Let the listeners know where they can find that, please, and the name of it.
Oh, Well, thank you, Natalie. So my podcast is called FTD Navigating the Crap, and you can listen to it wherever you get your podcasts.
And can they follow you on socials as well?
They can. Yes, we are on Instagram at FTD Navigating the Crap. And if anybody wants to get in touch, like just reach out, even if it's just for a little chat, you can get me on email as well. That's ftdnavigatingthecrap@gmail.com.
Yes, and you're after guests for the podcast as well, aren't you?
I am after a guest for the podcast, yeah. So anybody in a similar position to me, if you've got a loved one who's got dementia, or you care for somebody with dementia, whether that's a paid carer or not, if you're a healthcare worker, anybody, like if dementia has touched your life and you feel like you've got a story to tell, because you probably feel the same way, Natalie, but it is it's kind of really liberating to tell your story.
Yeah.
And it kind of feels like you're taking back a little bit of power from this horrible, hideous, cruel disease by standing up and saying, out loud to the world, this is my story. And it just gives you that little bit of power. It feels very liberating.
Yeah, and a lot of the guests that I've had on that are caregivers have said exactly that. They've been nervous coming on at first, and actually when they realise it's just a chat between two people, and they've come away and they've gone, I feel so much better. Like, thank you for having me on. And I'm like, no, thank you for coming and sharing your story. And it's set them free. It's actually set them free because they've said it out loud.
Yeah, it's like a weight's lifted.
Yeah, absolutely. So come and talk to Beth or myself. Yes, to come and do that. Thank you so much. Yeah, no. Thank you so much for coming on today. I've really appreciated that. Thank you. I'm sure a lot of people will take a lot away from it as well. So, and well done with the podcast. Keep going.
Oh, thank you so much, Natalie. Thank you for having me.
No problem.